Guys, and welcome to my new video, and today we'll be talking about a subject that is going to be somewhat controversial depending on the type of classic World of Warcraft player you are. I'll be talking about a class that I consider to be just arguably one of the best leveling classes, one of the best dungeon leveling classes, and a class that is performing really well in raids in classic World of Warcraft. Now, there is an argument to be made that raids in classic are not that hard and you don't need to optimize, have the optimal class setup to get Ragnar's down and things like that. But I wanted to talk about this class because I feel it's not all about the raiding, even though this class is also good at raiding, but also leveling experience, also dungeon leveling experience, also grinding high-end level dungeons. And first of all, we'll be talking about dungeon AoE grinding and the composition that is very, very popular right now between streamers, between power levelers. I'm very certain that a lot of people watch some of these top-end streams where, they're trying to grind really fast and they use this AoE setup. And first of all, before I'm gonna go to the actual AoE composition, I want to add a disclaimer to this video because I feel a lot of people might not support this kind of leveling, and I can completely understand. If you want to skip this disclaimer, you can go straight to the composition part if you want, but I feel there's been a certain kind of meta composition happening because I'm leveling my paladin and I'm trying to find, groups for certain dungeons. I'm not really dungeon leveling because I enjoy the quests and things like that, but every time I try to find any group for SM or Scarlet Monastery, it seems like there is: do you have a mage? Do you play a mage? We need 2 mages, we need 3 mages, we need AoE grinding. It seems every group is built towards this AoE grinding because it's became popular because, the world first level 60 was a mage, tons of streamers are doing this AoE dungeon grind, and now you have 5-man meta in these low-end dungeons. And all of a sudden, if you're not playing a mage, you might be left out. There's been multiple times where I sign up as a Retribution Paladin or a DPS Paladin or whatever, and I might get kicked because, hey, we found a mage replacement for you. Oh, hey, you're not a mage. Sorry, you can't get into a group. That's happened multiple times. I have nothing against AoE grinding in dungeons. Don't get me wrong. You play the game how you like. I'm not here to dictate how to play the game. If you want to AoE grind, do it. But this meta has been, to some extent, kind of annoying to classes that don't play a mage. So if you are gonna do AoE grinding, do it, but I hope this meta is not gonna pertain for everything. And it's not only low-end dungeons. This meta is also very, very popular for the high-end dungeons where some of the best phase 1 gear is available, where you just get everything and AoE them down. So first of all, let's talk about what builds this meta or what makes this AoE grinding good. And there is only one component to this. There's actually multiple components, but there is one major component, and that is a mage. Mage is an insanely strong class right now, and in this video I'm probably going to refer to mages as one of the best classes in World of Warcraft right now in terms of multiple different aspects. If you look at leveling, if you look at AoE dungeon grinding, if you look at raid performance and things like that, they are extremely strong. So first of all, how do you do it? A lot of groups will bring 3 or even 4 mages. You don't really need a tank for this composition. You just need 4 mages, 1 healer, or maybe if you want to be relatively safe, you might bring a tank. But what you basically do, a mage will go into a room. They'll either apply Ice Barrier if they have it, if they're high enough level, or they might get Power Word Shield from a priest. And that is also something that I'm going to be covering. So once they have this protection, they go in, pull everything. They might use Ice Block to gather the mobs to the mage itself. The mage will, when the ice block exits or when it ends, the mage will Frost Nova, blink away, and cast Blizzard. Now, with improved Blizzard, the Blizzard will apply a slow effect to mobs. And once the mobs get close, the mage or other mages will apply Frost Nova again, will do the same thing, repeat over and over again, and basically will prevent any of the mobs getting to them. Now, this has been very, very popular, and 3 or 4 mages can do this very, very simply and very easily. Now, the reason why you have, like I mentioned, priest is probably the most preferred healer for this setup, and there's multiple reasons. Priests are overall can be considered as one of the best healers because their toolkit is just, they have the most variety in terms of spells. They have a lot of, AoE heals, single target heals, but it's mainly because of Power Word Shield. Power Word Shield is so strong because if you apply this to mages or if you apply it to anybody and they go in and pull all these mobs, they won't get hit and they won't get dazed. Dazed is probably the biggest mechanic that will cause a wipe or a mage to die. So all the sudden pre-applying power word shields will save or will allow for this comp to really prosper. So you'll have mage and priest set up for majority of this content. Now, if you want to talk about certain classes that can also be viable or optimal, viable, optimal are very controversial words to use here. You can also use a warlock. Warlock's AoE is very, very dangerous because Hellfire is a strong AoE component to warlocks, but Hellfire it requires you to go to the melee range, and also it deals damage to the warlock itself. So all of a sudden that warlock will need a lot of attention from the healer. It might get hit, but it is possible to do it with a warlock as well. On top of that, warlocks will have Eye of Kilrog, and Eye of Kilrog is very, very cheesy in terms of how you can gather these mobs. All of a sudden you won't need the Frost Mage or a tank to go into a room and pull everybody. Warlock can use Eye of Kilrog, which is basically, you know, movable pet that has very low HP, but you can use this Eye of Kilrog. Warlock stands in like a line of sight, beside the door, beside an entrance or whatever. They use Eye of Kilrog and they kind of gather all the mobs, and basically all the mobs will get aggro and they all will come down to the warlock itself. And this is a really, really safe way of pulling a whole room without having your tank or a mage going in there. It's very, very safe. And after the mobs gather to you, the mages will go Frost Nova and Blizzard. And they'll control the mobs and they get easy XP. So that has been one of the most popular builds or meta for low-end level dungeons, but also the high-end as well, where a lot of your biz or pre-raid business are going to be coming from. You can also get away with having a warrior as well to some extent, but warriors will only get Whirlwind, which is their AoE ability, at around level 36. And a lot of the melee will just have to rely on having Ravager from SM Armory and having Ravager procs or proc at the right time to do AoE damage. So all of a sudden it's very RNG and it's not very controlled. So a lot of these groups will just look for mages and they'll have a priest and things like that. So that is the basic setup of what AoE dungeon grinding is like. And like I mentioned, it's not only in low-end dungeons, it's also in these, you know, BRD, ZG and stuff like that. SM is where it really starts, and then people will start looking for, you know, ZG mage spam. They'll also start looking for BRD mage spam as well. And all of a sudden, all the other classes that don't really have a lot of AoE, they'll be very envious of mages. And this is why I say mages are one of the best classes right now, because they're just so goddamn good at everything. If you're a type of player who doesn't want a dungeon grind and you want to solo everything, that's fine. Mages can do AoE solo grinding as well. Like I mentioned, first level 60 was the Frost Mage doing this kind of AoE grind. If you want to do dungeon spam, everyone's looking for mages, everyone's looking for your water. And people might laugh about this, but water costs a lot of gold or a lot of money in World of Warcraft, and having a mage supply you with water is going to be a substantial increase to your gold and to, you know, in order to get your mount and things like that. So all of a sudden mages, amazing at solo content, amazing at dungeon AoE grind, really good at higher end 5-man dungeons as well, and also a very good DPS, arguably the best range DPS in raids, especially if you've seen a lot of these, you know, Ragnaros kills and things like that. Mages were very, or at least they were doing very, very well. And like I mentioned, there is really no downside to playing a mage right now. And I feel a lot of people who are playing other classes other than mages have this kind of envy. Like, in a game where AoE is relatively sparse, mages are the kings of AoE. And AoE has become such a big part of classic World of Warcraft because content just seems to be easier, or at least a lot of people coming from private servers, coming into classic World of Warcraft, they'll be like, this is way easier than the private servers. So everything's being AoE down. This is why I wanted to make the video, and I wanted to include the disclaimer. I don't want this meta to become the only meta because I play Paladin, and if you play any DPS that doesn't have AoE, you can feel really left out. So I hope the people that watch this video will give chances to other DPS classes, but people who are just looking for AoE grinding or who are looking for a class that's very strong in classic World of Warcraft right now, mages are very strong, priests are a good part of the composition to supplement mages. I hope you enjoy this kind of insight. I really want to hear your opinions about whether you enjoy this type of leveling, whether you feel it should change, or maybe I've just made your mind up about which class to play. Let me know, guys. Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed this content, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps it out. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you in my next guide.